Well, we welcome you one and all back after a long summer break to the International GT Open Air of Round 6 of Red Bull Ring. We're here at the mountains of Styria, here in Austria, with the air temperature sitting at a comfortable 14 degrees, 69% humidity, which has gone down somewhat. It was actually 89% first thing this morning when we arrived here, but the thick air now started to dissipate, and we're now moving into GT3 action once more, with Levente Ravesh still currently sat at the top of the championship, and now at a very important, integral point now with 3 rounds to go. He's going to look to try and bring that title home. And also for Motorpark team, who sit aloft at the top of the team standings. Cars now making their way out onto the track for the first venture of the session. 24 minutes to go, and we have got a fantastic battle across all 3 different categories that we do, of course, have here. Of course, remember, Pro, Pro-Am, and Am class as well. Plenty for us to dissect with driver changes aplenty. It's basically the August transfer window, folks, as we now enter into September, as now more cars make their way out. George Morgan here in the commentary box, alongside me once again, Chris Stevens. 3 rounds to go, Chris, and it all starts here. The road to the title.
Yes, suddenly we are well into the second half of the season and on the run towards the championship, aren't we? Slight drama at the start of this session just now, with the car collection Porsche somehow being parked in the middle of pit lane and not being able to go anywhere, and rather blocking quite a few cars getting out there onto the circuit. But that car is now being cleared and everyone's able to get out onto the circuit now. And yes, just 3 rounds to go. We head to Barcelona in 2 weeks' time on the 20th and 21st of September. And round out the season at the GT Open 500 at Monza on the 19th of October. Quite a few new entries here. You can see the orange track focus McLaren of Darren Kell there, racing solo in Am, the father of James Kell. They're racing together in the UK as well. We also caught a glimpse there of the returning Racing Trevor BMW M4 GT3 Evo, not the only BMW, because we finally have the long-awaited debut of Poulsen Motorsport. Slightly different plan. It was going to be Christian Poulsen, the 2-time Le Mans winner, and his younger brother, who were going to be taking that car, Christian and Roland Poulsen. But with changes now in the lineup, Jens Klingman, the BMW factory driver, joins Christian Poulsen in that car, which is now a pro effort. So one of 13 pro cars we have here this weekend. We got a glimpse there of Baron Motorsport. They have got 2 cars here this weekend. And what is their home race? The Vienna-based outfit. So it is Ernst Kirkmeyer and Giacomo Altoe, who are here this weekend in number 91. And that was a very rapid car at this race last year. Giacomo Altoe, of course, remember from Ferrari Challenge, and very adept to the 296 GT3 car as well. And then it is Philip Barron back with Eduardo Bacci in the number 92, as they were in Budapest. So, yes, quite a few new entries. I think the headline one that we've yet to mention, George, Greystone have come here with a second car with 2 GT3 graduates.
Yes, they certainly have, and Greystone obviously have been certainly a standout as a team this campaign as well. Obviously coming here featuring some phenomenal talent, but we welcome Josh Rattican and Jaden Kelly. And for those of you who know, we of course have Elite Motorsport, who we currently see on our screen. Josh Rattican, also the other half of Elite Motorsport's Tom Leben, as they went on to take their GT4 European Series Championship at the same time, and now racing against each other. A slightly different dynamic as we take a look at the Provisional Drivers' Championship. Levente Ravesh, 99 points, and currently sat at the moment 7 clear of Christopher Haase and Simon Reichert. But one thing I will say, Chris, some serious confidence coming out of Elite, not Elite Shot, sorry, but I'm sure there is confidence in Elite right now. East Talent Racing Audi, though, very confident, and especially after going fastest in FP1 earlier on in the weekend.
Yes, it was the number 1 car, the reigning champions, who were quickest across both sessions. In fact, it was the number 9 Getsby car that topped FP2, but the fastest time of the day set by East Talent. And, of course, home race for them as well, based in Kirkberg by Mattighofen. And this is a very important weekend for them after it bagged their first victory of the season. Now, problems here potentially, a very slow-moving championship leading car of Maxi Gertz. Well, he's not heading into the pit lane, so that is just Maxi trying to find space on the racetrack, but not going onto a push lap here. He was really trying to keep out of the way of everyone, so hopefully that is not a problem on that Motorpark car. You can see the white and red, almost sort of like art design car, the number 13, the sister car, that is also from Motorpark. That has got a new lineup this weekend, so it is Jelmer Berman, multiple GT champion, being partnered with Riemann Vos, bronze driver, so that is now a Pro-Am effort.
Yeah, so we're now right on board with the Oregon car as well. Obviously, we welcome Oregon back, who have had probably one of the most enviable records at this circuit over recent times. We look back over the last the last 3 seasons we have raced here. Obviously, back in 2022, they went right through the weekend with victories for Kevin Ghilardoni, Glenn Van Berlo in race 1, Leonardo Polcini, Benjamin Hites winning race 2 in 2022. A clean sweep that year. 2023, they took victory with Pierre-Louis Chauvet and Max Paul as well in race 1. And then 2024, last year, Alessio Deleda and Jordan Pepper winning race 1. You're talking 4 victories in the last 3 occasions we have come to Red Bull Ring, and now they're going to be looking for yet more grandeur with the likes of Mirko Bortolotti, who now steps in, and what a coupe here as well for Jerry Canavicio's team here, Chris. Of course, he needs no introduction, DTM champion, reigning champion, and now arrives here at the International GT Open.
Yeah, winner of the Spa 24 Hours this year as well, in what was quite an extraordinary day for Lamborghini, getting their first win there. Alongside Luca Exler and Jordan Pepper, in fact, but not sure how long Mirko is going to be joining us here in the championship, but of course Oregon with plenty of ties to Lamborghini, developing a lot of their junior drivers, and so in that instance as well, the sister car, the number 19, has one of their junior drivers from Supertrofeo, Enzo Gerasi, who is currently leading the Supertrofeo Europe standings with the Oregon team, so hiring from within there.
Yeah. Definitely, and we'll see how he flourishes now as we take a look at the Olymp Ferrari. Some changes in looks now. We're moving from Audi into Ferrari 296 now, Chris.
Yeah, so they started this year with the Ferrari, having waited an awfully long time to receive it. Marcin Jedlinski decided he was happier in the Audi, but having tested both cars here last week, Marcin decided, actually, I'm more comfortable at this circuit in the Ferrari, and so they've gone back to that one. It is Carol Bash, the pro driver, who is currently qualifying the car, 3rd fastest as it stands. We'll give you the early times at the moment. It's a 497, sorry, for Max Hesse, who's gone to the head of the times in the Racing Trevor BMW. Racing Trevor, we were trying to work this out last night, actually. The last BMW class win in the International GT Open, you have to go back to 2022, and that was with the Racing Trevor squad in their home round of Budapest. Now, that is the number 82 Get Speed Mercedes, spun round at turn 10, and who is driving that car at the moment? It is Marcelo Ramirez, the Mexican driver in his first year of GT competition. And look at that, there's a handy-dandy little access road right there that he can park into, but I fear he may need to find reverse gear. No, he's able to swing it round without too much bother. Of course, yellow flag's still waving down there. I think this is Marcello's first visit to this circuit.
Yeah, obviously taking great care not to enter onto that racing line, because obviously drivers coming so quickly out of Rink Corner and then into Red Bull Reveal Curve, and you can just see they're taking a very wide line. And we were actually discussing, you mentioned prior to us going on air, you can still see some of the painted lines that were there from the prior, shall we say, route of the track, and it's been somewhat extended now, but good to see Marcelo Ramirez getting back underway.
Yeah, so officially this circuit is 12 metres longer than it was 12 months ago, and we'll see what happens to Marcelo here. Just a bit of oversteer coming out of the final corner, and it slides for a very long way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But no harm and no foul. Slightly wrecked set of tyres, but there is nothing that a quick change there won't fix. Of course, it's not ideal for them to have to do that. And this is James Kell in the Greystone McLaren, the one we've had season long, the number 33 car, sharing the racetrack with his father, Darren. which I was speaking to him about yesterday. It's not the first time it's happened. They have raced together, as we were seeing in GT Cup in the UK, but also more of a club level as well in MX5s, which is where Darren's racing career began with the 750 Motor Club and the BRSCC as well. And of course, remember the sister car for Greystone, the number 27, also here this weekend as well, and should be for the rest of the season. James Kell currently 14th fastest out there at the moment, but of course, still a long way to go, just under 15 minutes.
Yeah, plenty of time. Obviously, Dean MacDonald and James Kell, the results have been certainly difficult to come by. They did net 10 points back at Paul Ricard in race 2, 8 points back in race 1 that same weekend. It's been a long time since that race win, that last race win, and in fact it was the first one of the season back at Portimao. And since then they've had their troubles and strife. They arguably should have won back at Spa in the 500 until the electrical failure came into view, and unfortunately later having to retire the car after being so far back. I think they were 2 laps down before they ventured the car back out, before then bringing it straight back in again to retire from the race. So it has been a difficult season of sorts, but they have a grand opportunity here at Red Bull Ring, probably under the summer break, just having a refresh, hit the reset button, go again now as we visit Red Bull Ring, and Barcelona coming up afterwards. Monza, of course, the climax of this season's campaign. As yet again, we have more cars coming in, plenty of activity. Max Gertz goes 6th fastest, as now we see yet more times come through. Berman into 2nd as well, just behind Max Hesse. And Tom Leben, currently the highest pro at the moment in P3.
So Max Hesse, BMW factory driver, winner of the 6 Hours of the Glen this year in what is his primary campaign with the German mark over in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, but racing with his bronze driver Antal Zigo in the Eastern European Championships. Joined us in Budapest, and it seems like they're going to be with us for the rest of the season now, actually. It's a rapidly accelerated program here in GT Open, as Josh Ratican in that new Greystone McLaren goes 2nd fastest, and then, well, immediately usurped by Tom Leben. Time's coming in thick and fast. This is Dominic Baumann, the number 20 SBS Mercedes, looking an awful lot better than the last time we saw it, which was when it was punted into the wall rather unceremoniously at the end of the Mistral Straight back in Paul Ricard. Baumann here, heading into the final couple of corners. I'm sure track limits is going to be a hot topic here. Home race for Dominic Baumann, of course, but heads into pit lane there. But from Hall im Tyrrell is the 32-year-old.
Josh Ratican purple as well at the moment inside the first sector, looking to respond to Tom Leben's storm to the top. Obviously Berman actually had his time deleted from before, is now 4th fastest as it stands. So it's currently Leben, Hesse and Ratican, your top 3. Ratican once again finding more time at the moment in the middle. 84 thousandths up on the previous best set in place by Tom Leben, as now into the pits comes the 27 of Ratican. He's not going to set the lap, instead deciding to come in for a rethink before we head out once again in the final minutes. Of course, we've still got 11 and 30 to go as we watch the 26 make its way through turn 1 at Niki Lauda curve, and now the Storm up towards turn 3, and quite a collective of cars now as they look to jostle for track position.
Well, how great is it to have another car with 2 GT3 graduates in it? We've been talking all season long about the Optimum and the Elite pairings of these GT4 graduate drivers, and of course Josh Ratican, the latest in there now with Greystone moving over from Elite. He has been defending his GT4 title with Mackenzie Cresswell with the British team, but taking on this program with Greystone. Jaden Kelly, not coming from GT4 competition, actually come from the McLaren Trophy Europe Championship. There's a nice slide there for one of the Audis, and it is the ISR car, and they are down to just 1, I believe, for this weekend after the sister car, the number 23 machine of the Malcharek father and son combo that we saw out in Budapest was due to be with us here this weekend, but I believe the car suffered some rather severe damage during testing yesterday.
I mean, the story this season has ultimately been about the young drivers. I mean, obviously coming into this weekend, you know, for example, Levente Reves championship leader, first and foremost, moving off from single-seater racing into GT racing, and he's taken to it like a duck to water, really, right from the get-go. 3 wins under his belt this campaign. But you've also got to figure into the picture the breakthrough talent at Elite Motorsport, of course, not necessarily known for their GT3 racing, more centred around single-seaters. But Tom Leben now, obviously part of this combination of himself and Tom Emson. They've really risen to the occasion. Budapest was a mighty weekend for them. Now we've got Josh Rattigan entering the fold, obviously Leben's former teammate. And also you've got to figure in place the likes of Mikey Porter, who I know for a fact Sean Goff, the team boss at Optimum Motorsport, holds him in such high esteem and has... certainly he's in his own belief, and quite rightly so, I think, from my personal opinion, but a lot of promise definitely there on part of Mikey Porter, and Optimum Motorsport have certainly done well with drivers in this championship in the past. We look back, of course, to 2019, where Johnny Adam and Oliver Wilkinson were winners at this circuit in race 2. And of course, in recent times, we've seen the likes of Nick Moss and Joe Osborne representing the team, and Sam Dahan, of course, and Charlie Fagg, who went on to win their own championship back in 2023 in Optimum colours, the famous red zebra, as we like to call it, that same year.
Another nice slide for one of the Baron Motorsport cars. It was the 91 of Ernst Kirkmeyer, currently 13th in Pro-Am. There is a fantastic mix of different Pro and Pro-Am cars up at the front of the field. It was almost 1 for 1 as Michele Rugolo goes up to 6th fastest. Remember, he is the silver class driver in the AM category, but the ruling of if you're over 40 and you're a silver class driver, you can race in the AM category with a bronze driver, which is the rule that Rugolo applies for. So top bronze driver at the moment would actually be Philip Barron in 12th place overall, which is very good going out there, because he's currently ahead of Marcus Pavarud as well, who is the pro in that Santaloc Audi. And then you've got the likes of our championship contender Steve Yance, 7th at the moment in that category. What's happening else in AM? Mark Sampson and Darren Kell, 2nd and 3rd there at the moment, separated by not very much at all. Close moment here between Alfredo Hernandez and the number 63 Oregon Lamborghini, and that is Artem Petrov driving that car. So we'll see Mirko Bortolotti out for qualifying tomorrow morning, and of course in the second part of today's race as well, Simon Riker in the championship contending Audi, currently 5th fastest for man in his home race. Car collection here, we haven't mentioned them yet. New pairing for this weekend, so no Alex Fontana, no Hash this weekend. Hash has got some personal commitments that has prevented him from taking part this weekend, and so we welcome back Alexei Nesov and Maxim Kisilov, who you might remember were in the Dynamic GT Porsche at the very start of the season back in Portimao. Haven't done much racing together since then. Maxim Kisilov in his first year of GT3 competition, and it is him at the wheel of the car at the moment.
Yeah, currently last of the Pro-Ams right now, but still time left. He's currently sat behind Darren Kell and in 29th place as it stands, but he has nestled in a personal best inside this first sector as he makes his way through Rochenberth. Yeah,
so just to explain that, obviously back in Portimao they were a pro effort because they are both silver class drivers, but as you can do, as we saw with the BDR Grupo Prom Mercedes earlier in the year, you can be downgraded if one of your silvers is considered to be of a bronze pace and experience, which Maxime is. So for this weekend, that car has been downgraded to Pro-Am.
Yeah. Well, do we now watch the... Oh, goodness me. There we are. The 54. Obviously having a little bit of a check with the gravel. That, of course, is Dexter Muller behind the wheel of that, because Yannick Mettler will be taking qualifying 2 tomorrow. It's Muller who is definitely finding his feet. They have ambitions and goals to be Pro-Am champions in the future, and we hope to see them again next year as well. They've, of course, been storied contenders in the International GT Open over the last 4 to 5 years or so.
Absolutely heartbreaking what happened in Paul Ricard. Of course, they were on course for their first win in like 2 years in that championship, and
it was close, wasn't it?
It was last lap contact, and if you watch the video from their documentary series, which is on, it's the Carbon Raceworks YouTube channel, you'll see the onboard footage of him crawling to the checkered flag, and meanwhile the two cars that were separated by, what was it, a few thousandths of a second, rubbing panels across the line. They blast past him on the start and finish straight. You couldn't have had a closer finish in that race.
Really unfortunate, I have to say. And, you know, they've had their misfortune. Max Hesse, though, not unfortunate at all. Definitely showing more pace as Carol Bash now sits at the top of the tree. We have had a few time deletions come in. Expect them to be vast. As now Max Hesse looking to be fast this time. Does go quicker than Carol Bash now and sets in place a 1:28.054. 88 thousandths ahead of Carol Bash. Also part of that Pro-Am class. It is now Jens Klingman in third place. Fastest of the Pro cars. Dominic Baumann moves up to fourth fastest, with Marcus Pavrud in eighth as well, ahead of Simon Riker. Rugolo now right on the cusp of the outskirts of the top 10 right now. Now we're down in 10th place, but it's BMW on top right now for Racing Trevor, returning to the top here at Red Bull Ring, which is great to see. But Josh Rattigan now moves up to third fastest, and Hesse finding yet more time. Purple again in the first sector.
Great job here by Max Hesse, a TCR champion, but very, very well adept and at home now in GT competition and rising through the BMW ranks as a junior driver. Through the middle sector, through turns 6 and then 7 and 8 here. Very satisfying bit of the racetrack, especially to watch. And it's the inline 6 that powers him over the crest of the hill. Oh, fantastic to have a 7th manufacturer with us for this weekend, and 2 of them on the grid as well. Hopefully this is a sign of things to come, with more BMW customers joining us on the grid in the future. And so Hesse drives up towards the timing line. It's been purple in both the sectors so far, and as he crosses the line, manages to lower the benchmark even further to a 1:27.611, and puts half a second between himself and Carol Bash. Can Tom Leben bridge that gap? Yes, he does. Just over a 1/10 and a half. So it's BMW, Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren inside the top 5.
Yeah, great lap from Hesse. Of course, the gap was only 88 thousandths between himself and Bash. It immediately shot out to over half a second. Obviously now Leben, as you quite rightly say, Chris, bridging that gap. Fabian Schiller also looking to bridge the gaps in this very striking, well, not necessarily striking, but it should be camo at the end of the day.
What are you talking about, George? There's nothing there.
Yeah, I was going to say it's invisible. It's blending in. Schiller going fourth fastest right now behind Carol Bash. It's over 6/10 away from Max Hesse right now. Of course, Bartone has had some certainly risque moments around this circuit. Some of you might remember the big incident that occurred coming up through turn 2 on the run up through towards turn 3, albeit slightly different conditions that day. It was wet as opposed to the dry that we do have here on day 1.
Yeah, that fresh patch of tarmac over there where they've added the MotoGP chicane, very treacherous in those conditions. Thankfully this weekend there is no such weather forecast. So Tom Leben here coming up on the back of the Garage 59 McLaren, and there's actually quite a bit of traffic coming through the last couple of corners now, but Mark Sampson the first one up the road, and a little bit of rear end instability there for Tom Leben. Makes his way through the final corner. I imagine he's going to be compromised, and again sliding the rear Michelins through the final corner. There might make up a little bit of it with the toe. Did actually still manage to improve, not in the final sector, but the lap overall, a 1:27.730. So he's brought it down by a few hundredths.
Yeah, well, every 100th counts, and I'm sure Leben will have that very much burning on his mind. Obviously, now the big concern is if you're stuck behind Mark Sampson, you're talking 2 cars that are in vastly different classes. Obviously, he would have probably preferred the clear air, Tom Leben here now, but just over a 10th outside of Max Hesse at the moment, who is currently sat in the pits and will stay there now because, of course, we are inside the final minute and a half, coming down into the final minute itself this time. And it's got Dominic Baumann for company now, has Tom Leben. Berman has had, I believe, a track time deletion because he's now been dropped to P10. And Rattigan, Klingman, Gertz, and of course Bennett moving up. Phil Barron now moving inside the top 10. Another great showing here for the Pro-Am representative is now Carol Bash, also trying to find time. Not on this lap, he certainly won't. Currently 0.8 of a second down on the best lap put in place by Max Hesse inside that middle sector, and comes into the pits to bring an end to his day at the office. But with 40 seconds left, I can't see the top time being surpassed. Rattigan, though, personal best on this current lap.
just look at the names up there at the head of the field. It's absolutely fantastic stuff. This is some last efforts here from Josh Rattican, who is currently 6th fastest. I mean, that is a monster effort already. He might even go even faster. But well ahead of the sister car, the established sister car, but he has got a Ferrari right in front of him that could well compromise him. It's one of the Pro-Am cars, and I think that is Khalil Letlarka inside the Into Africa Ferrari 296, and that's probably compromised Rattican a little bit. Does manage to improve in time and in position, still about 0.6 of a second away as the checkered flag is now out. Max Hesse is in pit lane, by the way, so he's not putting in any last gasp efforts, nor is Karel Bash nor Dominic Baumann. So James Kell, first car across the line, goes 13th fastest. Maxi Goertz in the championship leading Motorpark Mercedes, only 8th. Fabi Schiller now in pit lane there as well, and it's already celebrations down at Racing Trevor. They know they've got pole position in the bag thanks to Max Hesse.
Yeah, Ernst Kirkmeyer now 21st fastest after crossing the line, moves up from 25th, just behind Libor Milotta, who also takes the checkered flag now here at Red Bull Ring. But it's Max Hesse who will surely not be surpassed. Simon Riker, though, has found green on this final lap, 39.252 inside that middle sector. Whether it's enough to increase his prospects. Currently 14th fastest, will remain there now as he crosses the line. Carl Bennett now about to cross the line as well, but he's not showing improvements inside that first sector, just bringing the car down to pace. But Hesse in his first start here in the International GT Open this season, and now currently sat at the top of the tree with a 1:27.611.
Yeah, it was great. They showed good pace in Budapest, and now it's at first pole in GT Open for Max Hesse. Great stuff there, alongside Tom Leben and Karel Bash, Fabi Schiller, Josh Rattican inside the top 5. That is a very mouth-watering grid there as well. Great stuff from Jens Klingmann in the 95 Poulsen Motorsport car. That is Poulsen's first race this year, their first outing in the Evo version of the BMW M4, and Jens Klingmann manages to put it 7th on the grid. That is a particularly impressive result. And Philip Barron, top bronze driver inside the top 10, 4th in Pro-Am.
Yeah, well, let's run through the classification, and Max Hesse will take pole position for this afternoon's race. On top for Racing Trevor once again with a 1:27.611. Tom Leben will join him on the front row as well for Elite Motorsport, with Karel Bash in 3rd. Fabian Schiller in 4th. Josh Rattican, what an appearance, what a start here for Greystone GT in 5th. Dominic Baumann in 6th. Jens Klingmann in 7th ahead of Maxi Goertz. Then Carl Bennett in 9th ahead of Philip Barron on his return as well to the International GT Open with a 1:28.445. A very impressive performance here for him. In P11, Jelmer Berman ahead of Michele Rugolo. James Kell, also for Greystone GT, down in 13th place ahead of Simon Riker in their home race for Easterlent Racing. And Artem Petrov looking to return Oregon back to the top at this track where they've had so much success over the last 4 years, ahead of Zach Meakin as well. Marcus Pavarou down in 17th place ahead of Steve Jans and Robin Rogalski in that second Oregon car. Libor Milotta in 20th spot, also for Team ISR Audi, who of course have 2 cars in representation here, of course, on this grid. And it's Kirkmeyer in 21st ahead of Mark Sampson for Garage 59, who will start ahead of Lewis Michael Dorbecker in 23rd. Heiko Neumann in 24th. Johannes Zelger ahead of Kalila Letlarka in 26th. Maxim Kisilov down in 27th in his appearance back in the International GT Open, this time for Car Collection Motorsport. Darren Kell down in 28th. Dexter Muller in 29th ahead of Marcelo Ramirez, who had that spin at the early stages, the early goings of the qualifying session. Amir Naran in 31st. And of course, further back, Alfredo Hernandez, Stanislav Jedlinski as well. We can head down for an interview with Alfredo.
Hesse, you didn't have a P1 in GT Open, so now it's done.
Yeah, finally, second race, so get the pole position. I think it was P4 in Budapest, so quite a good qualifying result so far in the first 2 rounds here. But yeah, no, super happy, car was great. It's a track generally our car likes as well, so happy to put it on P1.
And how do you see the rest of the day?
You know, for us it's still learning time, because also with my teammate it's a second GT Open race and generally very newcomer to GT3, so we're just going laps by laps in the race. Obviously I will try to give him the car in the best possible shape, and then let's see, hopefully we end up on the podium, and if not, it's another lesson learned for tomorrow.
Well done for now, all the best.
Ciao.
It is certainly a welcome return for Max Hesse. Of course, we're going to be set to race this afternoon. Can Racing Trevor convert that pole position to something special later on? Do, of course, join us. We will be racing this afternoon. But from all of us here at Austria Red Bull Ring, it's goodbye.